I used to think the goal was simple: make more money. Because when you grow up watching people struggle financially, income feels like the answer to everything. You imagine that once the numbers in your bank account become bigger, life will automatically become calmer, easier, more secure. And for years, I chased that idea without questioning it. I focused on earning, working harder, finding better opportunities, increasing income wherever possible. And every time I earned more, I felt temporary relief. But that relief never lasted as long as I expected, because somehow the pressure always returned. Maybe in a different form, maybe hidden behind new responsibilities, higher expenses, or lifestyle upgrades, but it always came back. And eventually I realized something uncomfortable. I had become very good at making money, but not very good at keeping it, growing it, or turning it into actual freedom. And that realization hit harder than I expected, because society praises earners constantly. People admire salaries, promotions, visible success, expensive purchases, but almost nobody talks about how fragile high income can be if it depends entirely on your continued effort every single day. And once I noticed that, I started seeing examples everywhere. People earning impressive money while carrying enormous stress. People trapped in jobs they hated because their lifestyle depended on constant income. People who looked successful externally, but internally felt financially anxious all the time. And I realized many people are not wealthy at all. They are simply high-income workers with expensive obligations. And there's a massive difference between those two things, because income can disappear quickly, but wealth is designed to survive. And that single realization changed the direction of my entire life, because I stopped asking, how can I earn more? And started asking, how can I build something that continues growing even when I'm not actively working? And once that question enters your mind, your perspective changes permanently. You begin understanding that true financial freedom does not come from constantly increasing effort. It comes from creating systems, assets, ownership, and leverage, things capable of producing value repeatedly over time. And suddenly, I saw how backwards my entire financial mindset had been for years. I had been focused almost entirely on active income, while ignoring the importance of building foundations underneath it, which explained why progress always felt temporary. Because no matter how much I earned, the structure itself remained fragile. One unexpected setback could still create stress immediately, and stress is one of the clearest signs that wealth has not yet been built properly. Because real wealth does more than improve lifestyle. It reduces fear, and fear quietly controls the financial decisions of most people. Fear of losing income, fear of emergencies, fear of uncertainty, fear of falling behind. And when fear controls your finances, long-term thinking becomes extremely difficult. So I started rebuilding my entire approach to money from the ground up. I became less obsessed with looking successful and more focused on becoming stable, because appearance creates attention, but stability creates peace. And peace became far more valuable to me than temporary validation. So instead of upgrading every part of my lifestyle whenever income increased, I started redirecting money toward assets, learning, investments, digital systems, things capable of compounding quietly over time. And the concept of compounding changed everything for me, because I realized wealth is rarely built dramatically. It grows gradually through consistency, repeated long enough, and that applies to far more than money. Knowledge compounds, discipline compounds, relationships compound, audiences compound, skills compound, and once multiple areas of your life begin compounding together, momentum starts forming almost invisibly beneath the surface. And that's the stage most people never reach because they quit too early. Modern culture has destroyed patience. Everyone wants visible success immediately, but wealth building often feels boring in the beginning because the results are delayed. And delayed results make people doubt themselves constantly. But once I understood that delayed progress is normal, I stopped chasing excitement and started chasing sustainability. And that single shift improved my finances more than any individual investment ever did. Because sustainability creates longevity. And longevity is where compounding becomes powerful. And over time, my relationship with money changed completely. I stopped viewing money only as something to spend and started viewing it as stored energy capable of creating future options. And options are incredibly valuable because they reduce dependence. The more options you have financially, the less fear controls your decisions. And that psychological freedom changes your life in ways that are difficult to explain until you experience it personally. Because once you are no longer desperate for immediate income, your thinking expands. Your decisions improve, your patience increases, and you become capable of focusing on long-term opportunities instead of short-term survival. And that's when I realized wealth is not really about luxury at all. Luxury is often just the visible byproduct people associate with wealth. But real wealth is flexibility, control over time, the ability to absorb setbacks calmly, the ability to make decisions based on long-term goals instead of immediate pressure, and most importantly, the ability to build a future intentionally rather than reacting constantly to financial stress. And once I understood that, my priorities changed naturally. I became more focused on ownership than consumption, more focused on systems than appearances, more focused on creating value than chasing validation. And slowly, I noticed something interesting happening. The more I focused on building wealth instead of displaying success, the calmer my life became emotionally. Because financial peace comes less from how much you earn and more from how strong your structure is underneath. And eventually I realized the biggest mistake most people make is assuming income automatically creates wealth, when in reality income only creates potential. What you do with it determines everything. Because money without strategy disappears quickly, but money combined with patience, discipline, ownership, and long-term thinking can completely transform a life over time. And looking back now, I realized the moment everything truly changed was not when I earned more money, it was when I stopped seeing money as the destination and started seeing it as a tool for building something larger, something stable, something capable of growing beyond my daily effort. And once that mindset shift happened, I stopped behaving like someone trying to survive financially and started behaving like someone intentionally designing a future. And that difference changed everything about the way I live, think, work, and build today. And the strange thing is, once you begin building wealth instead of only chasing income, your definition of success starts changing naturally. Things that once impressed you begin losing their power. Expensive purchases stop feeling important. Temporary status stops feeling meaningful because you realize many people are sacrificing long-term freedom just to maintain short-term appearances. And that trade becomes harder to justify once you understand how powerful ownership and compounding really are. So instead of asking how much something costs, you begin asking what it costs your future, your flexibility, your peace of mind. And that question alone filters out countless unnecessary decisions.